Welcome to this introductory lecture on sustainability and environmental education. This lesson is the opening exploration of the conceptual foundations of sustainability, its ethical and political implication, the importance of environmental education today. This is a central topic, and I will introduce you the topic and then open to following lectures of this module, which will talk more specifically about air, water, land, and energy. So let me share my screen and start. I want to start just saying about my role. I'm an architect, architecture historian, involved since many years on landscape, on heritage, also with the ICOMOS Association and DOCOMOMO Association. I have worked a lot on landscape. This is the reason why I would propose you inside this wide topic on sustainability and environment, also one specific discourse on landscape and how we can define landscape and cultural landscape. First of all, what are the contents of this preliminary lecture? Guide you into the understanding the meaning and the dimension of sustainability. There is a risk because sustainability is now much in fashion. So we should be very aware of the real dimension of sustainability and how can we deal with this complex topic, which is very, very wide. And then what is the role of education? Education is what we are doing and why education is so important and why you will be then guided into having a special lens, a special capacity on understanding the complexity of sustainability. We have to be aware of the fragility of our planet, of the fragility of our environment. And so from this comes the capacity of understanding how central is to protect natural heritage and landscape. Then we will introduce the importance of Agenda 2030, why this was introduced in 2015 as a result of a wide, important network, world network on finding the tools to protect the planet and also to help to grow the citizenship, and so to go to global citizenship. So to be all responsible and protagonist of the protection of the planet. The opening questions are, of course, what does sustainability mean, really? Who is responsible for environmental education? And what does it mean to protect the environment, to protect the landscape as a civic duty? Sustainability is the ability to continue for a long time without using up resources or harming the environment. So sustainability is about meeting our current needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs, a concept that applies to environmental, social, and economic systems. So we should give our planet in better conditions than we have it now to future generations. This is a very modern concept. Be aware of what we have, be aware of the risk that what we have is not lasting for a long time if we consume, if we use it in a bad way, in a negative way, and be able so to improve the quality of our planet. I want to go to share with you also in a more precise way what is sustainability, how can we approach sustainability, meet present needs without compromising the future. This is a fundamental definition, sustainability, which was first coined by the United States Environmental Protection Agency, emphasizing the long-term view of resource use. The second answer to the understanding of sustainability is to be able to maintain ecological balance. Environmental sustainability works to conserve natural resources, protect biodiversity, to be sure that the planet's natural system remain healthy and functional. The concept of diversity, the concept of biodiversity is very, very important. And then to balance environmental, economic, social goals. So this is a wide and holistic vision of sustainability, a holistic approach that considers the impact of decision on the environment, the economy, and society. We must all be aware that there are different actors in this world, in this work. We cannot only have one subject, but we have to have a rather a working team. We must understand that all the sciences have to be together. And also we have to involve citizens, experts, but also the stakeholders, also the politicians. So the whole society should be aware of the importance of this process to ensure a long life to the planet. Besides sustainability, we have to also be aware of what is the meaning of environment. Environment can refer to several related concepts. One central for our course is natural environment, which is referring to the physical world around us. And this will be the topic of the following lectures: air, water, soil, but also the living part of the planet, the plants and the animals, and with them, the ecosystems and the climate. So this is what we usually mean when talking about environmental protection or climate change. The goal is to maintain balance and sustainability in the natural systems. The three pillars of sustainability are the following, and they are interconnected dimensions. The first is environmental, so using the resources like water, energy, responsibly, so that they don't run out, and be able to keep the environment clean and healthy for the long term. The second pillar is a social pillar, ensuring fair and equitable treatment for all people, including providing access to basic services and reducing social inequalities. So a better planet a sustainable planet, ensuring that this will be for everybody, not only for one part of the planet, not only for the we can say the more advanced part of the planet, but also for countries which are suffering of a limited use, limited access to resources on the planet. The third one is totally interconnected, is to balance economic growth with social and environmental responsibility, rather than prioritizing growth at the expense of other factors. All the three pillars are important, and ignoring one will create imbalance and injustice. So, after introducing sustainability and environment, we can say that environmental sustainability can be defined as the practice of preserving natural resources, protecting ecosystems, to maintain that ecological balance that we were discussing, in order to support the well-being of current and future generations. This involves managing resources responsibly, balancing environmental conservation with human needs, reducing negative impacts like pollution and waste. These are the key goals that include conserving resources, reducing emissions, promoting renewable energy to ensure the planet can support long life term. So we have to be aware of the risks of using in a superficial way the role or the understanding of sustainability. In fact, sustainability, also because a lot of resources go on this action, sustainability is often misused, misinterpreted, sometimes reduced only to a marketing label. Be aware of this. This phenomenon is called greenwashing. So giving the impression of being environmentally friendly, but in fact, not being at all in the correct direction, not being at all having an ethical way of this world. So the centrality of the education that can help us to go in the right direction, to distinguish the real commitment from superficial claims. And so we can conclude that sustainability is a lens for rethinking our way of living. It must be a holistic way to do it, as we were already saying. So we go to the ethical questions, to the political questions. True sustainability means more than recycling or saving energy. It is an ethical posture, caring for the limit of our planet, acting for a political posture, because it involves choices, responsibilities, and power structures. To educate for sustainability is so to guide communities to have a voice in the future choices. And so the questions the communities, the citizens are addressing are what kind of future do we want to build? For whom? These are the central questions we want to discuss with the communities. Well, now we go to a key action that was started by the United Nations in 2015. It is a consequence of a long process of being aware of the high risks for the planet. And so it is an important agenda which has been not accepted by all the administrations, but all the countries, have been opposed to, because it needs to change completely also the economy, also the political action. And so the United Nations have selected 17 goals that we can read briefly together, and part of them will be explored in the next lectures. No poverty and zero hunger. This is one key issue. We should balance the access to the resources of the planet, helping the population who are suffering with poverty and hunger. And then the third one is a consequence: good health, well-being, going to this process for using the resources of the planet for a well-being. The fourth one is very central in our course, is the quality education. And then the equality on different situations. Gender equality is very central in that. And then we go to clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, which is also connected with the 9th goal, industry, innovation, infrastructure, and reduce inequalities, sustainable cities and communities. You see, all these from 7 to 11 are dealing with the capacity of changing completely the approach on work, on the capacity of growing in the economy, of the capacity of having very much better working places, much better working hours, access to a better capacity of having a good life for everybody, which means reducing the inequalities. And so the cities are a very complex question. We talk about city, we talk about villages, but we talk also about megalopolis, where the quality of life is really very, very low, where the health and well-being are really very far to be reached, especially in the neighborhood where there is not the same equal access to a good life. And number 12, responsible consumption and production. And then climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions. Peace, keeping the peace, means reduce inequalities, is a consequence of going to equality, going to share resources. And so we need strong institutions which are aware of the way to keep peace instead of war, way to share resources instead of trying to have the resources of the neighbor. And so the 17th goal is the partnership for all these goals. We will go into the following lectures to quality of education, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry innovation and infrastructure. Number 12, responsible consumption. Number 11, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, and at the end, life on land. Agenda 2030 sees sustainability as global and intergenerational. So this will be the way to help to focus into the main goal of the for a better planet. Each of the 17 targets addresses an urgent challenge and calls for action. I want to stay one more moment on the role of education. So on the goal number 4, education plays a key role, calls for inclusive, equitable, quality education, and includes a target on education for sustainable development. And so schools and universities are crucial spaces for learning about our impact, for forming habits of care, for imagining different futures. Let now drive you into 5 key issues or practices of sustainability. Reduce, reuse, and recycle means minimizing waste by consuming less, finding new uses for old products, recycling materials. All this reduces the demand on natural resources. This must be our habit. The second key is transition to renewable energy. So shifting from fossil fuels, which are extremely polluting, extremely consuming the resources, to other sources like solar, wind, hydropower, that can help lower carbon emissions and help combat the climate change. One more is improve efficiency, which involves reducing the amount of waste and energy used in industrial processes and in daily life. Conserve water. With increasing global demand, reduce water consumption is a critical component of sustainability. And then the last one is protect and restore ecosystems. This includes preserving biodiversity and natural habitats to ensure the long-term health of the planet. Try to focus better into also with the help of the other lectures into these 5 pillars or 5 keys: reduce, reuse, recycle, transition to renewable energy, improve efficiency, conserve water, protect and restore ecosystems. I go to one other central question. Who is responsible for educating us about the environment? The Council of Europe has given us a very important tool This is called the Faro Convention. It's the result of a key event organized in Faro in Portugal, which was turning completely the approach. Is a bottom-up approach to the question of the environment, but it's also a bottom-up approach to the responsibility for a better society. So this convention is about society and for society. It outlines a framework for considering the role, I must say, their central role of citizens in the definition, decision-making, management processes related to the cultural environment in which communities operate and evolve. So the citizens, the communities, they must be at the center of the discussions. They must be a voice for a shared decision on the changes in our planet. The Faro Convention proposes heritage as a resource that can be mobilized for and by citizens as part of public action. Public action is so the tool, and the Faro Convention opens a new label, which is heritage communities. The communities can be declared heritage communities approved by local governments and national government, and they can have a real voice into the discourse, into the debate. Be aware that the word heritage is very important. Heritage is a resource that we have to protect against an unsafe economy. The value of the heritage is among the most important values in our daily life. UNESCO in 1972 has provided a real revolution. The World Heritage Convention that I ask you to download from the UNESCO website and read it, the World Heritage Convention was a key issue to change completely the approach to heritage. The convention has provided definitions that I will share with you. Definition on heritage. What is heritage? Heritage can be cultural, heritage can be natural, but then in the evolution of the use of planet, on the shaping of the sites that human beings have done to set up their life, we are aware that this was that we had a mixed cultural and natural heritage. The result of this meeting between cultural and natural can be called cultural landscapes. And you see how the term landscape becomes important. So we have immovable places, immovable heritage, which means towns, cities, monuments, sites, but we have also movable heritage, which is much more fragile. As fragile is the intangible heritage, which is memory, which is rituals. And so it is very fragile and at high risk of disappear. All this complex heritage is a topic to be studied, to be understood, to be aware of the value. So outstanding universal value is the tool that UNESCO has set up in this convention. They have given us 10 possible values that we can describe to select outstanding places with outstanding universal value, which should be better protected. Now let's go a bit deeper into landscape. Landscape is a topic I've been working for a long time, addressing also the topic on cultural landscape. And the European Landscape Convention, we stay still in Europe, was a very advanced tool to understand that landscape is our identity, to understand how European landscape is a very important element to keep Europe united, is a common element, is a common legacy for Europe in the diversity of Europe. Be careful that European landscape is an identity, is an important heritage, but it is important because of the diversity of Europe, of the diverse traditions, the diverse cultures, the diverse languages, the diverse quality of food, landscape, and cities. So in Florence, on 20 October 2000, the European Landscape Convention was signed, but this was not accepted immediately by all the European countries. It has been a slow process that now, after 25 years, is more and more important, is more and more shared, recognized, and it is today a chapter, it is today a way or an approach which is more and more used. It exists also a European Landscape Prize for the better action, which includes also education. Schools, universities, towns can concur for the European Landscape Prize for an innovative process of being educated or using or changing the landscape in a better way. So what is the definition of landscape? The landscape is defined by the convention as the part of the land as perceived by local people or visitors, which evolves through time as a result of being acted upon by natural forces and human beings. So be aware of the importance of the community, the importance of the local people leading that part, and the visitors. They become actors, as for the Faro Convention. They become actors because their perception of the value of landscape, their perception of what is the landscape, is very central. This means that we need to educate the local community. We need to educate the visitors. We need to educate the stakeholders. We need to educate the politicians to be capable, able to understand the values of landscape. From the European Landscape Convention, a key change happened. Landscape is not anymore only the beautiful landscape, but is all the landscape, is all our territory. Beautiful, not beautiful, or completely polluted, completely destroyed. Imagine the neighborhoods. Imagine the parts of land destroyed by some events destroyed by a war, destroyed by an earthquake, they are not out of our lenses, not out of our attention. This landscape needs to be repaired. And so the European Landscape Convention gives us the tools to repair the landscape, to make it better, to give it to the future generations in a better condition. Landscape, so for the convention, is the expression of the common cultural heritage of a people. It is its identity. So landscape is a European identity in its diversity. The definition continues, whose character derived from the action of natural human factors and their interrelationships. So I go back to the word UNESCO Heritage Convention to share with you the definitions. Cultural heritage is referred to monuments, groups of buildings, and sites. I must tell in a few words how these three words are important. The first protection was only for monuments, castle, beautiful churches, town halls. There was not the aware that the context of the monuments is also very important. Groups of buildings are also very important. And then the third definition is sites. Sites is the latest understanding, the correct understanding of a place. So I quote the significance of sites contained in the UNESCO document. Sites are the works of man or the combined works of nature and man, and areas including archaeological sites which are of outstanding universal value from the historical, aesthetic, ethnological, anthropological point of view. It is very important to have this comprehensive, large vision of the site. The definition of ICOMOS, which is has been created after the Venice Charter, is the understanding of monuments and sites. So going from the single monument to a wider comprehensive approach to the territory in its complexity, to the territory in its diversity, to the territory in its also layered history, century after century. The second definition is natural heritage, which is defined as, I quote, natural features consisting of physical and biological formations which are of outstanding universal value from the aesthetic or scientific point of view. Geological and physiographical formations which constitute the habitat of threatened species of animals and plants of outstanding universal value from the point of view of science or conservation. Natural sites or precisely delineated natural areas of outstanding universal value from the point of view of science, conservation, or natural beauty. The third definition, which is the combined action of nature and man, is cultural landscape, which is, according to UNESCO, was defined as illustrative of the evolution of human society and settlement. Cultural landscape is critically at the interface between nature and culture, between tangible and intangible heritage, biological and cultural diversity. Well, let me underline the importance of the word intangible heritage. Intangible heritage is, as I was also saying very briefly before, is the memory of a place, which is very important. Not only the form of the place, not only the stones of the place are important, but also the memories which are which were the memories of the living community in the place are very, very important. And you can understand how fragile they are. Also the rituals, also memory of dramatic events like the wars, or happy events like the rituals, festivities, etc. They are very meaningful for the place. And so tangible and intangible should be combined and should be protected at the same time. The second word I want to underline is diversity. Diversity is what makes Europe a united continent. Diversity is the dialogue between cultures, which makes the heritage much more interesting, much more important for the combination, the dialogue between among different voices. The diversity of our continent, the diversity of our landscape, the diversity of our territory, the diversity of our monuments in the time, but also in the in the different places, is the quality of our continent and is what makes what gives the identity to our continent. This is the heritage that we have to understand and preserve. Well, we go now towards the conclusion, but I want to suggest you how landscape has been understood as a key issue in the Italian history. Even before the transformation of our country from a kingdom into a republic, which was the change after the dramatic Second World War. In 1948, the Constitution of the Italian Republic was written. Among the 10 legs of the Constitution, so the first 10 articles, is, as you can read together, this Article 9, the Republic promotes the enhancing of culture and scientific and technical research. The Republic protects the landscape and the historical and artistic heritage of the nation. So culture, research, landscape, history, art are very important issues. They are the identity of a people. They are the identity of a community that should be protected. Today, all this heritage is at high risk. Is at high risk for the very fallible, very weak capacity of our governments in the last century of protecting this very valuable heritage. The driving force of the economy made this fragile situation and these serious threats that we are facing today. Urban sprawl the uncontrolled enlargement of the cities, megalopolis, without any quality, any capacity of sharing the good things among the population, giving to the population different access to the resources. The pollution is the consequence of this uncontrolled traffic, uncontrolled use of industries without controlling the bad emissions of the machines. And this is also the loss of biodiversity. The food, the agriculture, animals, etc. All this action, all this part of the economy has been putting at risk the biodiversity. The same question of the urban sprawl is the abandonment of rural areas, of mountain areas, inner areas, which lost their population because of no work, no connections, no capacities for young generations to live, to have resources to live, to have a work, and to live in good conditions. The abandonment of rural areas, the abandonment of inner areas is what makes the loss of the biodiversity. It's what makes our landscape, our territory, very sick and a big danger. So we have to go again to a balance of this situation. And I want to underline that protecting heritage, and so sustainability, the real sustainability, is not a nostalgic action, is not living in the past, is not going backwards, but it is very modern, is to be avant-garde, is to be able to understand the real line to be followed. It is environmental justice. It is a form of care for those who will come after us. We must give them a better planet. This is our main aim. And so, in landscape education, there is a beautiful idea to educate the gaze, and this is what we suggest you to do. You should open your eyes in a different way. You should be able to learn, to see, to observe with attention, with respect. Try to capture the quality of your place, of your land, of your landscape. When we teach about landscape, we also teach about how to inhabit the world with care. So we have different lenses. We have a different approach, holistic approach. We connect geography, memory, so intangible heritage, and responsibility. Responsibility is a very central word. Each of us should be aware of the responsibility of her or his life. Responsibility as a student, responsibility as a teacher, responsibility as an educator, responsibility as a politician, etc. Well, I hope this lecture was interesting as a starting point. I hope you can go back to the slides to implement your notes and to try to start to exercise on the topic. In the next lessons, we will explore 4 key themes, as already said in the introduction: air, and so pollution, public health, atmospheric justice; water, access, privatization, climate change; land, soil consumption, agriculture, biodiversity; and the fourth is energy, renewable energy, fossil fuels, transitions between the different sources of energy. Each topic will connect environmental facts with ethical, political, civic questions. As a conclusion, we are to be aware that the environment is not a neutral backdrop to our lives. It is the stage and the story. It is our shared home. Knowing it, caring for it, protecting it, this is the foundation of sustainability. Thank you for your attention. Let's begin this journey together.